we're glad that you're here. We're coming to you live from Dallas, and you're tuning in for the only debate in this year's race for governor. And we have Democrat Chris Bell. Next to him, we have independent Kinky Friedman. We have incumbent Republican Governor Rick Perry and independent Carol Keaton Strayhorn.
You can't be afraid of offending people, Wayne. If you're afraid of offending people, if you ain't offending somebody, you ain't getting anything done. Okay, that's the facts.
Mr. Friedman, words matter. And if you're going to be the governor of the greatest state in this nation, you bet you use those types of terms, and it's going to deflect from being able to do the good things that need to occur in this state.
There's been some people who've even said that you're boring. So how do you get voters enthusiastic about your campaign, particularly when you're facing these three?
Well, I'll tell you what makes people enthusiastic, John, and that is when you start talking about having the very best public schools in the entire country.
Who is the newly elected president of Mexico?
The newly elected president of Mexico won with a very narrow margin, and there's been a lot of anxiety about that.
When was the Battle of the Alamo?
I believe it was 1836.
Nailed it.
Governor, what is the interest rate for the 30-year loan, 30-year mortgage, rather?
30-year mortgage is about 5.956%.
Pretty close to 6.3% came out.
All right, well, I was looking for a deal.
Do you know the average cost of a year of in-state tuition at the University of Texas at Austin?
Yeah, I know it's too high, and the kids are broke and the institutions are rich as Croesus. And what I want to do is throw the old farts off the boards of regents.
I am a serious man with a serious plan. When I'm governor, Texas will be a better place to live, Texas will be a better place to work, and Texas will be a better place to raise our children.
And Ronnie Reagan, in 1967, when he was governor of California, talked about moral responsibility to the elderly, to the children, to autistic kids, to special ed kids, to mentally retarded, mentally ill people, and the people who devote their lives to helping others.
Texas is on the right track. Our teacher pay is up, our classroom experience and achievements up, our college enrollment is up, and the fact of the matter is we're stopping illegal activities along the border of Texas, and we got a record number of Texans working.
Let's remember who we are. Before we were Republicans or Democrats, before we chose sides, we were first and foremost Texans. In this election, we must set aside our differences and get something done. Tonight,
on my left is the Democratic Party candidate, Diane Farrell. Next to her is the Libertarian Party candidate, Phil Myman. And to his left is the Republican Party candidate, Christopher Shays.
What has happened with Congressman Foley is absolutely reprehensible. It is equally distressing that there were members of the Republican leadership who clearly had some indication that this was going on and who failed to act. Yesterday, I called for Mr. Hastert's resignation. I also suggested that he return the funds that he's raised for Congressman Shays' reelection effort.
If any leader knew about what Mark Foley did, they should step down. If they should have known, they should step down. And to the extent that anyone broke the law, they should be fully prosecuted. Now, I include Democrats as well as Republicans. Denny Hastert is a good and decent man, a very good and decent man. If he failed to act on this issue, then obviously he should step down as leader. When Joe Ganim broke the law, she was silent. When a senator from Bridgeport broke the law, she was silent. It's really easy to go after someone in the other party. The question is, what do you do about your own party?
To suggest that this was somehow a Democratic conspiracy moves away from the very important facts that a series of 16-year-olds were in fact victims of abuse. The Republican Party has had the leadership of Congress for 12 years. So to somehow suggest that this is a Democratic conspiracy, in my way of thinking, makes no sense.
There has not been a single Libertarian congressman involved.
Before my 14th visit, I said if the Iraqis don't show the fortitude to step up and do what they did in '05, we may have to consider leaving prematurely.
So what happened on that 14th trip? A couple of things. Number one, Connecticut had a Democratic primary where the loser of that primary clearly in some measure lost because of his position on the war in Iraq and his support of the president. Where Chris agrees with President Bush and the Republican leadership, like the war in Iraq, like our fiscal policies, has it been good for our country? Where Chris has disagreed with President Bush and the Republican leadership, has it made a difference?
If you want to throw away all my good work and all my knowledge about this issue, you have that right. You have that right. But I would say to you that you need me now more than ever to confront this terrorist threat.
I would like to thank the governor of the state of California, the Honorable Arnold Schwarzenegger, for accepting our invitation. And I would like to thank the treasurer of the state of California, the Honorable Phil Angelides, for also accepting our invitation. I'm going to get to as many questions as possible.
The fact is, when you speak like this, you sound just like Newt Gingrich, you sound like Speaker Hastert, you sound like George Bush attacking me on taxes. You're the one who has raised taxes and fees on middle-class families.
I think that it is very clear, and I can tell with the joy you see in the eyes when you talk about taxes. You just love to increase taxes.
Let's just be very honest about it. I can't wait.
You cannot now change tune after the primaries and say all of a sudden you're giving tax breaks. The fact of the matter is you love increasing taxes. Look out there right now and just say, I love increasing your taxes.
Hey,
just say it. There's nothing wrong with that.
Hey, now we have a conversation going that voters are interested in.
Now we're rolling. When I'm governor, and Nancy Pelosi, who's here as Speaker, we're going to work hard to make sure there are border enforcement agents who have a real border.
I'm an immigrant, and I know exactly what it feels like wanting to come to this country, because when I was 15 years old, I had a big dream to come to California, to come to America.
And I'm concerned because I don't believe at the national level and at the state level we've been doing what we should be doing. Sadly, in Washington, George Bush has committed us to his failed war policy in Iraq that sucked up $400 billion, money that could be used to secure our ports, make the homeland more secure.
Homeland security?
I feel a little bit like I'm having dinner with Uncle Teddy at Thanksgiving.
He's a great man.
What is the funniest moment during your campaign?
That's a great question. And every day is just a hoot. I can't tell you how much fun.
I don't use the internet. I think it's the work of Satan, all right? So, I mean, people tell me what's on the internet.
Why can't we